All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful idea from a Christian text, the link between a harmonious marriage and a whole other level of spiritual authority when it comes to prayer. So, we all think of a happy marriage as one of life's greatest blessings, right? And it absolutely is. But what if it's meant to be something more? What if it's actually a key to unlocking a totally different dimension of spiritual effectiveness? The source material we're digging into today makes this really bold claim. It says that true harmony between a husband and a wife isn't just the finish line, it's the doorway. A doorway into a kind of spiritual authority that, frankly, most people never even get to experience. So let's break that down.
To really get this, we've got to go way, way back, all the way back to the beginning, to what the source calls God's original blueprint for all of us.
Okay, so listen to the wording here because it's so important. The command to have dominion, to rule over the earth, it wasn't given to one person. It was given to them, plural, to male and female, together, as a team.
So the huge takeaway here, according to the source, is that from the very start, spiritual authority was designed to be shared. Unity wasn't plan B. It was the foundational pattern for how we were meant to operate on God's behalf.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. How does this idea show up in the New Testament? Well, it centers on the incredible, almost unbelievable power that's found in agreement.
I mean, wow. This is just a massive promise from Jesus himself. He's directly connecting the agreement of just two people on earth with real action in heaven. This whole binding and loosing thing, it's a powerful spiritual tool he's handing to us.
And here is where it gets really, really cool. The original Greek word for agree isn't just about, nodding your head. It's symphoneo. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's the root of our word symphony.
Just think about that for a second. A symphony isn't a bunch of people playing the exact same note. It's different instruments playing different parts, all coming together to create one beautiful harmonious sound. That's the kind of agreement Jesus is talking about, a profound unity of spirit.
So how does this symphony play out when it comes to prayer? Well, the source frames it as the absolute key to victory in a spiritual battle.
The Apostle Paul makes it pretty clear that the Christian life isn't a walk in the park. It's more like a wrestling match. And we're not wrestling with other people, but with unseen spiritual forces. This really sets the stage for why having a unified front is so critical.
And where does this wrestling match happen? The text says the arena is prayer. And inside that arena, a husband and wife who are truly united in that symphonic harmony, they're described as an invincible team.
So let me give you a practical example from the book. It's a story based on the real experiences of several couples. It starts with a husband and wife who feel this undeniable calling to go serve in a country that's completely hostile to their faith.
They try everything you would normally try. They apply for visas again and again, but every single application gets rejected. From a purely practical standpoint, it looks impossible. Every door is just slammed shut.
But instead of just giving up, they decide to actually put this principle from Matthew 18 to the test. They come together in a serious prayer of agreement. They specifically pray to bind the spiritual opposition and to loose the visas that they need.
Now, this is really important. It wasn't an instant fix. The story stresses that months went by. And during this time of praying together, they had to go through this really difficult process of letting go of their own ambitions, their own timetables, a process the source calls dying to self. We'll talk more about that in a minute.
And then, seemingly out of nowhere, the breakthrough. The husband gets a completely unexpected job offer from a business in that exact country. The very door that was sealed shut was suddenly miraculously blown wide open.
What a powerful story, right? But the source is very, very clear that getting to this level of unity and power doesn't just happen by accident. There's a price to pay.
Yeah, this kind of spiritual symphony, it's pretty rare. And it's rare because it's so hard to achieve. As the slide says, there's a price. It means being willing to let go of all that heavy baggage, like our pride, our stubbornness, and our constant need to be right.
The text points to a core biblical concept as the real root of the problem, what the Bible calls the old man or our carnal nature. You know what I'm talking about, that selfish, me-first part of us, and that part of us can never achieve true harmony. It's just not in its DNA.
So, if our natural selves can't pull this off, what's the solution? How do we ever get there? Well, the author argues that there is only one remedy: one single pathway to this kind of symphonic unity in a marriage.
And the answer, in all its simplicity and power, is the cross. The cross is presented here not just as a historical event, but as a present-day reality, a place where our selfish nature can be put to death, making room for something totally new to come to life.
So here's how it all flows together. The cross makes it possible for two naturally selfish people to die to themselves and actually live in true harmony. That harmony then becomes the key that unlocks the door to the powerful, effective prayer of agreement that Jesus promised us.
And this really brings it all down to one final challenging question. And it's not a question for your spouse or for anyone else. It's for each of us individually. To gain this level of harmony, to access this kind of spiritual authority, am I willing to pay the price? Am I truly willing to die to myself?